Hey there flippers, and welcome back to Second Life Treasures. So on today's video we are going to be doing something a bit different really, and it's going to be me sharing my top tips from sort of 3 years worth of reselling. So yeah, in start of April this year would have been my 3-year mark of being a part-time reseller, not a full-time reseller, part-time reseller. So yeah, I just wanted to share a couple of tips that I feel that other people could benefit from, both new and old resellers. As I say, I still learn, and yeah, hopefully sort of some of you can get some use out of this. But before we get into the video, it's just a couple of things that I wanted to go over. First off, probably the most important thing that I've got to speak about this week, and that is the fact that the channel has hit 1,000 subscribers. So I just wanted to say a massive thank you to everyone for all your support that you've given both me and the channel over these last 3 years now. Absolutely amazing. I'm over the moon, literally. I am so happy that the channel has managed to get the 1,000 subscribers. So yeah, we are going to be pushing forward. I am hoping to get into the position where I can start putting more content out. At the moment it's a bit of a struggle, all based around time, both with sort of like my full-time job and everything like that. But I am hoping to do a couple more videos start putting more videos like this in, where we sort of pick a topic, we go through that topic, and then I'm also going to start sprinkling some sales as well. So we'll be doing that as well in today's video. And then the other thing I wanted to quickly discuss about was the fact the reason there isn't a boot fair video today is I was out at the boot fairs last week. We actually ended up at 3 boot fairs, and all of them were it was a washout. And yeah, I'm hoping you'll be able to see some of the conditions that I had to endure. So we started off at the normal Sunday boot fair. After about an hour, there was, I think it would be lucky if there was 20 sellers there. It was dead as a doornail. And I think it was probably 90% buyers to 10% sellers. So me and Nikki decided to shoot over to Swanley. Got to Swanley, everyone was setting up, really good. And then about 20 minutes after we got there, the skies just opened. It was torrential, and hopefully I've got the footage. I'm so glad that my GoPro was waterproof, because yeah, it was torrential. And then after that we went on to Gravesend. Once again, it was as quiet as anything at Gravesend. So I think a combination between the bad weather, the fact that it was Father's Day, and all of that just mixed in to basically make the perfect storm, so to speak. And then yeah, it was a bit of a washout. But I am going to be back out at the boot fair this weekend, so fingers crossed we have a much better week. So diving into today's topic, and that is obviously my top tips from the last 3 years as a reseller. And I think the first one, probably a good one to start with, is to not take on too much when you first start. So when I first started Second Life Treasures, I started it on the 1st of April, and then I started both the resale, the actual eBay business, as well as the YouTube. And I think looking back at it now, yes, having the YouTube channel got me talking to some people. I think there's quite a few people that I speak to at the boot fairs that I probably wouldn't be talking to as much if they didn't see me on the videos. But equally, it added so much work. At a time when I was trying to find my feet, trying to get my knowledge up on resale and how to best do the different processes that I needed to do. Yeah, it probably wasn't a good idea to start the YouTube channel when I did. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love doing the YouTube channel. But I think if I was sort of talking to myself 3 years ago, I would have said, get the business up and running, 6 to 12 months down the line, then look to start YouTube. But that's how it goes. But then tied into that, as I said, a big thing when you first start out is knowledge. So yeah, just literally anywhere you can get knowledge. So speak to people, watch YouTube videos, doing your own research. A good one, a good way to generate or get new knowledge is literally just pick something. I'm trying to think what I've got. Here we go. Bomberman on the N64. Chuck in a search, see how much it's going for. Then from that, look at some other N64 games. Search by highest price first. Search by lowest price first. Another way that I used to, another thing that I used to use to build knowledge was I would hit Facebook Marketplace and pick up free listings. So I think when I first went towards within the first sort of 6 months of starting, I was picking up free items from Facebook. And one of the things I picked up was a big sort of industrial fan. And this thing, you fit it in a building, it's basically an extractor fan for a building. And yeah, I picked that up. It was a free pickup from Facebook. I brought it home. Luckily, I knew what I was doing with it, so I was able to test it. Tested it, it worked. And I think I ended up selling that for about 100 quid. I've picked up boxes and boxes of DVDs, VHSs, and yeah, I've got knowledge. So I know a bit more now what VHSs to look for if I'm out and about, what DVDs to look for if I'm out and about, and different things like that. And then yeah, as I say, just literally get knowledge from wherever you can. So yeah, right, moving on to our first sales. So these are going to be sales over these are going to be my top 10 sales over the last month. So the first one that we've got was actually a recent pickup. We picked this up from the Sunday Boot Fair, and this was let me just switch over to my other screen because I have got everything set up today. It's really good. So we picked up the TomTom Start 20. This was one that we picked up from the Sunday Boot Fair, and I think I paid £3.50 for it. Total sale price was £33.49. I think if I remember rightly, that went on an offer. Yeah, £3.49. Yeah, that would have definitely been under an offer. So yeah, all in all, we made £22.48 profit on that. So just as a bit of a breakdown, because one of the big questions that I do get quite often on my videos is questioning my profit. So with that, obviously we paid $3.50, so that comes out of that money. £3.39 because I do everything shipped tracked now. So regardless of what it is, it always goes tracked for me. 29p for the postage box, £1.20 in promotional fees, and £2.27 in standard eBay fees. So that's how I get to the £22.84 profit. Then the second or the ninth best sale of the month was the Tesla hubcaps. So I did actually have 4 of these, and what I actually did was I actually sold them all individually. So what I done was I put one listing up, and then the 4 different hubcaps were all numbered, so people could go onto the listing and just select whatever one they wanted. I don't think anyone actually selected one. I think they just took whatever the next one was. But all of them sold. So I think they all sold within about a week and a half of listing them all. So I sold each. I paid £10 for all 4 of them. So it worked out about £2.50 each. They all sold for £36.50. Didn't take any offers on them. Even though I had offers live, no one sent me an offer. They literally just bought them. £6.59 for each of them to sell. I ended up reusing some boxes that I had put aside. So it only actually worked out in 6p in shipping materials. None of them had, I think one of them had a promoted price on. If I remember rightly, yeah, one of them had promoted, which was at £1.32. All the others sold for normal price, unpromoted, and then they all had £4.42 eBay fees on, which landed us a total profit of £22.93 each. So what's that? That's 2, 4, that's 80, just over £90 profit for all of those. So that was an absolutely stonking pickup. Obviously, I have got it in here at position number 8 because I've only got the individual one. So the next tip that we're going to be looking at is going to be around sourcing. And this is going to be always look for new sourcing locations. So when I first started, I was very focused on charity shops and boot fairs. I was just completely focused. And then once we come to the end of boot fair season, I then got a bit stuck because I was a bit like, well, I've got nowhere to source really. Obviously, I was still doing my charity shop videos, and I will admit at that point I did really ramp up the charity shops. I think at one point I was going to 3 different towns in one day. Yeah, it was hard going. But over time, I then started incorporating some other avenues. So I started off, I put in Facebook. I was doing picking up bits from Facebook Marketplace. I also found a sort of flea market down in Ramsgate that I visited a couple of times. I mean, I've only ever put out one video from there because I think the second time that I went down, there was just nothing there for resale. But what I will say is, I probably will say that is probably going to be the place where I had my biggest reselling regret. And yeah, when we were there the first time, one of the early stalls that one of the early booths, that I went to, had a Disney Aladdin. It looked like basically a crew jacket, and yeah, I think they had it up for £20. And I'd sort of pulled out my phone, looked it up, couldn't find anything like it online, and was a bit like, well, it's £20, that's a lot of money. Back then, for me, when I was doing reselling, that was a lot of money. And yeah, I left it. Sort of went round, sort of looked at everything, picked up a couple of bits, and once I got to the end, I was like, do you know what? I'm going to have a go at that jacket. Went back to the booth, and it had gone. So yeah, even now, I am gutted that I left that there. Whereas now, if I'd walked to that booth, I'd have seen it, immediately picked it up, put it in the basket, and it would have been coming home with me. But that is going back to the first tip, where I was saying about knowledge. Knowledge is always key when you're doing reselling. Obviously, I moved on to, started picking up things from Facebook. I started doing a lot of free pickups, which did actually help me sort of build some knowledge, as I've said before. But yeah, the sort of Facebook, even now, I still have active searches on my phone for Facebook Market for different items. I'll be honest, I don't think I've picked up anything for resale from Facebook in over a year now, if not longer. But yeah, that is how it goes. It is all a case of just broadening your horizons as much as you can. Obviously, nowadays, I don't really go out to the charity shops. I will admit, I have, over the last probably year and a bit, I have gone out to the charity shops a couple of times. I've had my GoPro with me and everything, but just not been able to pick up anything. Unfortunately, yeah, charity shop prices have skyrocketed, and yeah, it's just very difficult to get any deals at the charity shops anymore. But I will say that I am going to be doing a video, hopefully at some point in the next couple of months, where we go out to the charity shops, and I'm actually going to be focusing on one particular type of item. So yeah, keep your eye on the channel for that one. Hopefully, as I say, that will be out within the next couple of months. But yeah, I think at the moment, sort of my main focus for sourcing is squarely on the boot fairs. And I know I need to sort of broaden out, but I'll be honest, at the moment, I have got so much stock sitting in my dev pile that I don't need to go out to the boot fairs. I could miss this whole season if I wanted, but I enjoy going out to the boot fairs. I enjoy doing the videos. So yeah, I am going to, we'll be carrying on with the boot fairs, but I am going to be, as I think I've said this before, just being a bit more selective in what I'm picking up. So getting back to our sales, our next sale is going to be the Binatone MP400 telephone, and I need to switch to that right tab. So this was one, I believe we picked this up from Lazy Bones middle of last year. It's actually been listed for quite a while now. I think it's about 6 months or so. I recently done a end and sell similar on this, and yeah, within about a week I got some offers on it, and I think in the end I got a £30 offer, and I was like, do you know what I paid for it? I think I paid £1 for it. Yeah, paid £1 for it. Ended up selling for $34.99 with shipping. Shipping was £3.39 plus 42p for the box. £1.26 in promoted fees, £5.07 in eBay fees, and that landed us a total profit of £23.85p. And then the next pickup, or next pickup, I'm so used to saying that on the videos, the next sale was for a bundle of VHS. So these VHS actually come out of the storage unit that we picked up. It would have been about a year and a half ago now. So yeah, I am still working my way through the storage unit of VHSs. I will admit, I do have regular sales, and I have been, when I get spare time, if I'm sitting down sort of with a wife, after I finish dinner, we're watching TV, I might get the tablet out and the barcode scanner and just sit there and scan some VHSs. And then, yeah, anything that sort of falls within our profit margin will get moved to the side, we'll get it listed. And anything that doesn't gets sort of shipped out. Normally, unfortunately, they end up going to the tip, which is a bit gutting. But, yeah, it doesn't... no one wants to pick them up. And, yeah, it's just a bit of a shame. But, as I say, with regards to the storage unit, we are well in profit. Let me see if I've still got my spreadsheet open. Yes, I have. So for the storage unit, we are currently sitting at, so total invested in the storage unit. That was to buy the actual storage unit, the fuel, the crossing charges, and then the fuel for my friend to come out and rescue me right at the end of the day. Was 143. No, it wasn't. It was... Oh, what have I done? 2 seconds. As organised as ever, as you can see. I don't want consistency to fall away. So £154 we paid, was all in. That was basically sort of what we invested in the storage unit. At the moment, our total profit is up to £486. So yeah, really good profit margin on it. I'm really chuffed with how it's gone. Obviously, it's not the sort of thing I'm going to do again while I'm operating out of the house. Definitely not. But yeah, it will be something that we'll potentially look at again sometime in the future. So yeah, this time we actually had as I say, a bundle of VHSs, and it was actually a repeat seller, a repeat buyer. Sorry, they actually bought 5 different VHSs for a total. Right. So this is going to be another one. So they ended up paying £33.68p. But what actually ended up happening was they originally paid £43.68p, but that was like £20 in shipping. So what I ended up doing, obviously, when I list the VHSs, I list them with without the shipping. So if I look at one that is offering free shipping, for example, Everton, the Golden Golds collection, if someone was selling that so we sold it for £6, that would have been £6 plus £3.99 shipping. So the others listed were probably listed for about £9. So yeah, I will list it for £6 and basically match their price but minus the postage. But what I ended up doing in this case was I actually did refund them £10. So yeah, our total price was £33.68p. Total price total value of the items to us was 35p. Works out about 7p per VHS. £3.39 in shipping, 42p in packaging, £1 and 2p in promo fees, £4.36 in eBay fees, which landed us a total profit of £24 and 14p. So yeah, really chuffed with that. Another really good sale from that storage unit. So the next tip that we're going to be looking at is going to be more around sort of mental health, and that is, don't let the lows get to you. Now this is something that I've really struggled with over the last 3 years, because you get to the point where you feel like you're doing everything you can, you're doing everything, and then the sales are just not coming in. You're getting multiple days with zero sales, even though you've been listing frantically for the last 6 weeks. Or yeah, you're just getting you might get like 3 returns in a row. I'll tell you now, with returns, they always come in free. If you get 1 return, you will always get another 2. It is just it's a rule. It really is. I don't know what the deal with that is, but yeah, it always seems to happen. But yeah, just if you feel like you're struggling, and you feel like that sort of things aren't moving along, just take a step back, take a breath. What I've done in the past is I might have, if I'm sort of struggling mentally with the eBay business, I might not list for a week. And yeah, I know a lot of people say you've got to be consistent, and I do agree with that. But at the end of the day, being in the mental headspace is much more important than just forcing yourself to list. And yeah, it just you need to, as well as be looking after your store, you also need to be looking after yourself. And what I'd also say is there's nothing wrong that if it's really getting too much, put the store in away mode. Put it into away mode for a week, 2 weeks, whatever. There is nothing wrong with taking a step back every now and then. And I do it. I still do it now. There have been, especially over the last year, I'd probably say 2, maybe 3 times where I've sort of taken a step back. I've not done any listings for a week. There's one point, it was about 2 weeks where I didn't do any listings. And yeah, you will see your sale. You will. So what I find with eBay, if you don't list, you get a bit of a spike, and then it will drop back down. So yeah, I don't know what the deal is with that, but I will admit over the last 2 weeks, I've been having stellar sales. Most of the listings that we're looking at today all come within the last 2 weeks. And I've had my best fortnight that I ever had. Last 2-3 days, it's been dire, really dire. I've had like 1 or 2 sales, sort of £10 to £20 profit a day. Really dire. But it is, at the moment, I'm really sort of G'd up with regards to it. So yeah, even though the sales are down, I'm still pushing ahead. I've recently revised my listings, my listing methods, and we'll go into that in a bit more. But yeah, obviously, as I say, don't be afraid to take a step back. And that actually leads us on to the next tip as well. And that is to surround yourself with positive people. There is nothing worse than trying to build your own business and just being surrounded by negativity. And I'll be honest, I've got people in my life where I'm getting it both sides. I've got the positive people and I've got the negative people. And when it comes to negative people, I just refuse to talk about the eBay business with them. Not something I want to talk to you about. Move on. Next topic. Whereas the positive people, it is just night and day. And I'll give you some examples of this, because I think the number one person that I've got to shout out in this part has got to be the wife. She deserves some kind of award, a medal, a honour, a trophy, whatever it is, for putting up with me. She really does. Obviously, both me and the wife do get cheesed off with the house because the house is just one big stock room. We have got stock in the hallway, both upstairs, downstairs, the bedroom, the dining room where she has to work during the day, the living room. It's just everywhere. And yeah, both me and her do get really cheesed off and just feel it gets very claustrophobic. So that is one of my big aims with basically the next sort of 8 to 10 months, is to actually get to a position where I can literally move the eBay business out of the house. I think both from a mental health perspective and just a quality of life perspective, I want to sort of move the business on, and then that will also allow me to grow the business even more. So yeah, she, as I say, just deserves all the recognition in the world, as I say, for putting up. And literally any time that we both have rants and raves about the stuff everywhere, but any time that she does bring it up, it's always a case of, I'm just frustrated, I know what you're trying to do. And yeah, she is fully supportive of me, but yeah, she just deserves the biggest award on the planet. Next person that I want to bring up as well is one of my best friends, and this guy I met in the company I'm actually working at now, when I first started there, and we just got on so well, and we've been best friends ever since. Unfortunately, he doesn't work at the company that I work at anymore. That's a whole different kettle of fish, but we speak regularly on the phone, and whenever I speak to him, one of the first questions that I get after sort of how's the family is, oh, how's the YouTube channels going? How's the reselling going? And he always shows interest in it, and he's really sort of positive around what I'm doing. Once again, I'll have rants and raves with him. It's not doing well. I'm really getting frustrated with it, this, that, and the other. And he will sit there. Obviously, he's not a reseller. He doesn't understand, he doesn't really know the ins and outs of what we do. But he is so supportive, and yeah, just a massive shout out to my mate Rich. He is just a legend. And then talking about friends that I just can't do without, we can't not mention Nikki, a fellow reseller, who is, once again, he is an absolute legend. We have such a laugh, and it's great to actually have someone else that is in the reselling industry, in the reselling sort of business, and someone that I can talk to. And a lot of the time, the frustrations that I'm experiencing, he's experiencing. He will tell me things that he's doing, I'll tell him things that I'm doing, and then the friendly rivalry that we've got when we're out at the boot fairs is just brilliant. A lot of the time, you'll see on my videos, and I've sort of said it, I think I've said it a couple of times, but there'll be times where we're at the boot fair, he'll go up to a stall, he'll like ask for, oh, you got any cameras? And then he might be looking at a couple of cameras here, I then find a camera over here, and then I'm starting to do a deal for that camera, and then I all of a sudden realise, actually no, wait there, I'm sort of jumping in on sort of his sale or his purchase, and as soon as I realise, I always turn around and say, sorry mate, didn't realise, do you want this? And I will admit, he's never said, no, I want that. He's always been, no mate, you go ahead. And that's very much how we are. Me and Nikki, we get on so well. And yeah, he just makes the boot fairs so much fun. And yeah, we do it, to be quite honest, we do quite a few bits away from the boot fairs as well. Nikki has recently started game collecting, so yeah, there's another thing that we get involved with. But yeah, once again, just a massive shout out to Nikki. He is just a true legend, shall we say. Okay, so back to the sales, and this next sale is going to be for a pair of trainers that we picked up. I think this was from Swanley towards the beginning of the season. And this is the Reebok Men's ExoFit High Classic Leather Trainers. And I will admit, part of me actually did want to keep these. But when I originally listed them, or originally got them home. I looked them up, and there was some that were selling for like 80 to 90 quid. And then over the last sort of month or so, they've started sort of petering off. A lot of the sales were going for between 40 and 50. And I think on this one, this was another one where we accepted an offer. The guy chucked us over an offer of 40 quid plus $4.99 shipping, so it's $44.99 that we got for those. I mean, we were into them for £8. So shipping wise, we paid £3.39 again, 42p for the box, £1.62 in promo fees, and £6.97 in eBay fees to land us a total profit of £24.59. So yeah, really happy with that. As I say, it was a bit gutted to see them go, because I would have probably liked to have kept them for myself. But reselling is reselling. And then the next sale that we had was actually for, I think we picked these up towards the beginning of the year at Maidstone Market. I know it was Maidstone Market, we picked it up. And yeah, I think it was towards the beginning of the year. So this is a complete set of 12 2000 McDonald's Snoopy Happy Meal toys. And yeah, what happened was when I was at the market, this guy was selling the toys individually. So it's like 50p per toy. And I just went up and I said, what do you want for the lot? And literally we come to a deal. I think I paid £35 for for both boxes. And yeah, they have been absolutely amazing. I think I'm close to or just over the £100 mark on profit. Let me have a quick look. Yeah, £129 profit I've made so far out of that box. So that's after the initial £35 has been cleared. So yeah, really chuffed with them. It's something that I love picking up. I love going through these big boxes of Happy Meal toys or Kids Meals toys, because 9 times out of 10 you're able to put a few sets together, and that's really where the money comes from with these, is when you can put sets together. So yeah, it worked out. The whole set cost me £1.92. Sold them all for $44.99. Actually went to an overseas buyer, so they were shipped through the global shipping. Paid £3.39 for shipping, because obviously all I have to do is ship it to eBay. 6p for the box. I think I reused a spare box. Nothing on promo fees. Didn't have any. That wasn't a promo listing. $6.99 in eBay fees to land us a total profit of £32.63. So yeah, once again, another really good sale. So back to the tips, and the next tip from me has to be keep records of everything. So there's multiple reasons behind this, and first off, probably the most important one is going to be tax. You need to have records of everything. I spoke to quite a few resellers at the boot fairs and things like that, and they see it as more of a hobby, so they don't keep records of anything, and yeah, it can be sort of problematic from multiple avenues, I will say, because obviously you've not got a record of what you're sort of buying and selling for tax purposes, but also having historic records is really important with regards to building your own business. So what I do is if I'm looking at something, if I'm looking to, say for example, I'm looking to change how my listings work, or change how many change my minimum say for example, I'll use minimum profit. It's probably a good one. I will go to my Excel spreadsheet. I'll copy my current stock tab, sort by profit, and then everything below a certain profit gets deleted. I'm not deleting from the master record. This is a copy, and then I can say, right, so if I change my minimum profit from £2 to £5, that will mean removing 400 items from the store. And yeah, I've garnered so much information, and to be quite honest, over the last 3 years, as I've sort of carried on building the business, I've added more and more information to my Excel spreadsheet. I am actually at the point now where the spreadsheets aren't enough. And this rolls into a question that I got recently. So this was from Andrew Sales, 8716. And he says, do you use a QuickBooks type software or more Excel? Well, at the moment, I am still using Excel, but I am also currently developing a sort of basically a company management system. So this will allow me to manage stock, both resale stock and packaging stock. It will allow me to generate reports and yeah, just give me sort of the general figures, like how I'm performing this week, everything like that. It's literally a system I'm building from the ground, and yeah, just completely building it from scratch. Obviously, I am lucky in that respect, where I can do all the work myself, because I'm actually building it as a web app. So basically, it's been built just like a website, and because I've got a history in web development, it's actually easy for me. And I will admit, I'm actually enjoying doing it. Not so much the task that I'm doing at the moment, because what I have found is the Excel spreadsheets that I've been keeping as my sort of records for the last 3 years are not formatted in, not as detailed as I thought they were. So yeah, I am actually spending a lot of time at the moment doing sort of data cleanup. So yeah, I'm making sure that sort of all the data that I'm putting into the new system is as I need it to be. So for instance, there'll be, if I go on my spreadsheet, and if we look at the last sale that we were looking at, the Snoopy figures, that on the monthly part of the spreadsheet, it will show as bundle of Happy Meal toys. But then there'll also be an entry on there for sale for Snoopy toys. So there's no relation between, the system can't relate between the bundle of Happy Meal toys and the Snoopy toys. So I then manually have to create a new entry with the same data as the bundle for the Snoopy toys. It's all up in the air. But yeah, trying to make sure that the data that goes into the new system is as clean as possible, so that we can get as accurate information out when I come to start using the system full time. So yeah, I think I'm on like the last year, so I think I'm up to like April 2023. Yeah, it's been about 6 weeks I've been working on this, but what I'm doing now is I'm actually spending 1 day a week doing the data cleanup so that we can get the system live. So yeah, Andrew, that is, at the moment, yes, I am using my Excel spreadsheets, but I am looking to get this new system live as soon as possible. So flicking back over to the sales, our next sale for the month was the GoPro Media Mod. This was one that we picked up from Dumpster Diving UK at the Sunday Boot Fair. I think, what did we pay? We paid £1 for this one. And originally I picked it up with the intentions of using it myself, but it was designed for the GoPro Hero 8, and I've got the GoPro Hero 10. So yeah, the 8, and once they changed over to the 9, it was slightly different design. Even though it all looks the same, it was just slightly different, so it wouldn't fit in. So yeah, instead of just having it sit around, not being able to use it, I decided to chuck it up for sale. This one, I think, sold within about 3 hours of listing. And I'd listed it around, so I think a lot of the listings were selling between 60 and 70 quid. I had it listed for 50 plus $4.99 shipping. And yeah, it just sold like that. So really, really happy with that one. So as I say, paid £1 for that one. Sells for $54.99. Had £3.39 shipping. 29p in packing, £1.98 in promo fees, £7.12 in eBay fees, and that landed us a total profit of £41.21. So yeah, really happy with that. And then the next sale was actually another one that we picked up from Dumpster Diving UK, and this was a pair of GHD Platinum Plus hair straighteners. So we paid £5 for these and ended up, once again, I think these sold for full asking price. There was no offer on these. So sold for £69.99. So it was listed for £65 plus £4.99 shipping, £3.39 in shipping paid, 42p in packing, £2.52 in promo fees, and £9.81 in eBay fees. So that landed us a total profit of £48.85 on those. So yeah, once again, another really good sale. And I think that was the first set of GHDs that I'd ever picked up. Normally, Nicky picks those up quite regularly, but he normally gets to them before I do. So yeah, that was the first set I actually beat him to. And yeah, really glad to pick those up. So next up, the next tip we've got is to be adaptable. And this is more applying to eBay. Because, yeah, now I have after last year, I have got into the position now where I am constantly reviewing what I'm doing on eBay, and I'm constantly adjusting what I'm doing to see what works and see which gets the best sort of prolonged results. So one of the big things that I review is obviously daily listings and daily relistings. So that is sort of ending and sell similar. So what I've started doing, probably started it last weekend, I think I started it, was I've upped my daily relistings from 5 to 10. So what I'm doing is I'm doing 5 new listings a day and then 10 relistings a day. And yeah, it's okay. As I say, the tail end of this week, I've seen sort of a big drop off in my sales, but I'm going to push through. Obviously, the big mistake I made, and I made it last year, was sort of my sales were down. And this is another point I've got on this topic as well, is I was blaming everyone but myself. So, the economy's bad. It's eBay sort of not showing my listings. It's the sun wasn't in the correct position. It was a full moon. It was everything bar me. And then it comes to the point, I think it was about October last year, where I can't even remember what brought me to it. But I know I was watching a couple of the... I ended up watching a couple of the American YouTubers. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was just sat there one day and it just seemed to click that actually it's none of these things. It's me. So yeah, that is when I really sort of took it on. That point, I started looking at promoted listings, found sort of a good sort of promotion level that I was happy with. Once again, it's another thing. I'm potentially going to adjust that a bit more. So yeah, potentially for sort of the higher price items, maybe up the percentage. So I think at the moment, anything over £10, I think it is, gets 3%, and anything under £10 gets 2%. I'm potentially looking to sort of maybe shift those by a percentage point each, where we go to sort of 4 and 3. But yeah, that I'm still toying with that at the moment. But this is all where it comes into all being adaptable. You got to be constantly reviewing, looking at what you're doing, reviewing and seeing where you can change, where you can improve. And just don't think that, I'm doing my 5 listings a day, I should then be getting 5 to 10 sales a day. It really doesn't work like that. You've constantly got to be adjusting and seeing where you can make improvements. So next up as well, I also want to talk about being prepared. So yeah, that old Scouts motto is really applicable to eBay. So one of the ways that I enact being prepared is all around shipping. So I always make sure that before I list an item that I've got the methods to ship it. I will say there is some items every now and then that come up that I think, yeah, that'll fit into that box, it'll be no problems. And when I come to ship it, it doesn't. And then it's like as stressful as anything, because you're trying to find a way to ship it by keeping your costs down, making sure you got the box that's suitable to send it in, and blah 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 blah. But I will admit, hats sort of touch wood, it's been good for me so far. I've majority of the time, I think probably 98% of my sales that go out, they go out in one of sort of four to five different box types. And yeah, it's easy as. So yeah, down in my hallway downstairs is literally just filled with boxes. And then yeah, whenever I put an item into my spreadsheet, I always put down what box I intend to ship it in and what postage rate I intend to ship it in. And yeah, it's really worked well. So I would say always make sure that you're prepared. I've got items here that are sitting in my death pile. The reason they're in my death pile is because it took me ages to find a box to ship them in, and I just haven't got round to listing them. And I need to dig out. There's one thing in particular I need to dig out and get that listed. But yeah, always be prepared. Always have the boxes ahead of time before you do your listings. I will say though, a couple of questions that I've seen people ask on other videos as well is about pre-packaging items. So once you've listed it, should you then package it up in a box? So then all you've got to do is pull it off a shelf and just slap a label on it. I would say yes when you're first starting out. So when I first started, I would pre-package everything, store it on a shelf, and then once it was ready to go, literally just pull it off the shelf and put a label on it, send it off. I think, yeah, if you've got sort of like anything under sort of 20 items, I'd say yes, that's a viable thing to do. Once you get to a stockpile of more than 20 items, I just wouldn't do it. You'll end up, you'll be paying out so much for packaging, for stuff that's just going to sit on a shelf for maybe 6 months to a year. I think once you are sort of finding your feet, you've got more than 20 items listed, I would then pivot to not pre-packaging things. That's just my advice. That is what I did. So what I'd done was everything that was pre-packaged stayed pre-packaged, and then anything new that I got was then just filed away and then packaged up when it was ready to ship. So yeah, that is my next tip. Then moving on to our final two sales for the month. And the next one we've got is the Newmark CD Mix 1. So this was one of the mixers that we picked up. I think it was actually in the last boot fair video. And I have to say these mixers were probably the best pickup I've made in a long, long time. So this sold on the 15th of June. And I think once again, I think it was only listed for about 24 hours before it sold. And I think I actually accepted an offer on this, if I remember rightly. And basically the offer was like £5 below what I'd listed it for. So I was like, no brainer, take that all day long. So this one, what did we do? So we bought it for £10. Sold it for £106 and 50p. That's including the shipping. Shipped for £6.59, £1.62 in packaging, £3.84 in promo fees, £14.73 in eBay fees, and that netted us a total profit of £69 and 72p. So yeah, absolutely over the moon. Really loved that. And what I didn't realise when I listed it, and it was only once it sold, I'd actually listed it upside. I actually put the picture upside down. Yeah, I couldn't believe I'd done that until, as I say, it was when it sold. I looked at it and I was like, wait, that's upside down. But yeah, it still sold, which was good. But yes, and then on to our final sale or the top sale for the month. And this was the another one of the mixers. And this is the, I'm going to butcher this name, Bergringer Eurotrack. This is the 12-channel audio mixer. This was actually the first one that I picked up at a stall. The Newmark actually come in the second go round. So this one, we ended up getting this one for a £5. And I have to say, the seller wasn't happy that it was sold to me for a £5. So he obviously went off, and then it was Son, and I think it was Sonny and his wife said, yeah, it was on that pile, so it was a £5. And I was just standing there, I was like, yeah, I bought it for a £5, I'm not paying any more. So I had this one listed. I think this one went for full asking price. No, it didn't. No, I think so. I had it listed for 120. Took an offer of 114. So total sale price was £120.50. Once again, shipped for £6.59. £1.62 in packaging. This one didn't have any promotion on it. So it just had the eBay fees of £18.14. This one did go on the global shipping program as well, and that landed us a total profit of £89.15. So really chuffed with that. An absolutely amazing pickup. And I think I was saying, me and Nicky were talking about all of the mixers, and he was like, oh, what one do you reckon's worth? Well, what one do you reckon will sell for more? And I put my money on this one. So Nicky, I win. I will say I have sold another one of those mixers as well. I'm just waiting for the buyer to pay. So yeah, I think that one sold for £55. So yeah, really happy with it. As I say, 3 out of the 4 mixers have already sold. So yeah, really chuffed with that. And yeah, a really good month of sales. Probably one of my best for quite a while. And then before we wrap up, there's just one more tip that I want to give out. And this is, don't try to emulate other resellers. So whether it's someone that you see at a boot fair, one of the YouTubers, anything like that, always use them as inspiration and use what they're doing as more of an advice, but don't try and emulate anyone else. Just because you see another reseller and they're putting in sort of 4, 5, 10 grand a month, fine. It's use them as motivation. So like, you got that reseller that's making 10 grand a month, brilliant. Aim to sort of get to the 10 grand a month mark. But just because they're doing something and it's not working for you doesn't mean that you're doing things wrong. I've spoke to countless resellers, and there's a couple of resellers that I've spoken to actually, and we talk about cameras. Now, me and Nicky, we pick up cameras all the time, and they do really well for us. Whereas we've got other resellers that I've spoke to, they won't pick up cameras at all because they can never make money on them. They always buy them, they're broke or anything like that, and yeah, they just don't pick up cameras. Whereas from my perspective, this goes back to where I was saying about being adaptable. If I get a camera that's broke, okay, it gets put into a box, and then sort of once, maybe twice a year, depending on how many I pick up, I chuck up an auction. Spares and repairs, faulty, untested, whatever. They all go up, they go on an auction, and then whatever they sell for, they sell for. Sometimes I make a loss, sometimes I make a profit, but I get some money come back in for them. But then I've also got all the other cameras that I pick up in between that are all completely working and sell for sort of 50s, 100s, however. So yeah, always look at what you can do. So look at the other resellers around you, look at all the YouTubers, and just use them as sort of advice, and to give you ideas of sort of ways that you can take your eBay business. But don't ever feel like you're being knocked back because you're not making as much as the next person. And don't get me wrong, there are sellers that I interact with. Nicky, for example, he makes much more money than I do every month, but he's picking up different things, and yeah, it just is how it is. I see people at the boot fair, they'll drop £150 on a bundle of things that they'll sell that for 3-4 grand. Brilliant. I'm just not in that position at the moment. Normally, if I go to a boot fair, I'm going to a boot fair with about £150 in my pocket. And yeah, I don't really have the luxury to drop £150 on one pickup. Well, I do, but then it would make the video very boring. So this goes back to what I was saying earlier on about focus and sort of not taking on too much. So a lot of the times when I'm out at the boot fair, I'm looking to make videos, and sometimes the videos take priority over the pickups. So yeah, this is something that I'm trying to work on, but yeah, it's all a learning curve. And even 3 years down the line, I am still learning. I'm still making mistakes. I'm making many mistakes. But what I do is I look at, I watch other resellers' videos. I talk with other resellers. Sort of, as I say, I talk extensively with Nicky. Look at sort of what sort of things he's doing, what he's picking up, what he's paying, and look at sort of like, well, can I adopt that into mine? And yeah, I don't let it get me down, the fact that, like, Nicky, for example, is making more money than me, or the other resellers at the boot fair are making more money than me. It just is what it is. We've all got our different skills, and we've just got to find our footing in the best way possible. So that is going to be it. I am going to let you all go. I really hope this video isn't as long as it's showing me on the footage, but I will wrap it up there just so that the video don't go on too long. So before you go, if you did enjoy the video, don't forget to hit that like button, and if you're not already, smash that subscribe button and ring the bell to be kept up to date when we upload new videos. And yeah, with that said, thank you so much for watching today. Really hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one. All right, bye.